Name, It, Chapter 2. Did you see it? I did. One sentence summary. 27 years after a bunch of kids fought an interdimensional being, it's back. And this time, it's personal. Could you beat the villain? Pennywise the Dancing Clown is the most recognisable form of It. There's going to be a lot of It's and it gets a bit confusing as to which one It is. But It can become basically anything it wants, and it usually becomes what you fear the most. And it is bound by the rules of the body it's in. So what I want to know is, in a Dick Cheney style street fight, how is It turning into a letter from the student loan people or a no-deal Brexit really going to help? It's not. It's going to be powerless. Even in clown form, a bunch of kids kicked the crap out of it, and if that were me, I would have finished the job. There wouldn't have been a need for a sequel. Having said that though, if I'm in a town and I know there's a shape-shifting interdimensional being who's out to get me, although he does kind of let me get away a couple of times. Anyway, if I know it can be whatever it wants, well, I'd be swinging at everything. There was a bit where there was a kid who says the fun's about to start or something along those lines to Richie, and he's all like, yeah, you freaking little weirdo, and then it turns out just to be a kid. If that was me, I would have broken that kid's jaw, like no question asked. Just like, as soon as he's like, oh, fun's about to look, bang. Also, there was a bit with a cute little dog, a Pomeranian. I would have kicked it in the face so hard that it came off. How do you improve the film? This isn't the film's fault, but I'm sitting right next to an absolute arsehole who just like ruined the entire experience for me. Jesus, the guy was a twat. Beverly looking into the deadlight, she's all like that, and he was like, no, fuck, no, oh! The film's been on for a second at this point, and I already hate this guy. He went out about half an hour into the film, and I thought, thank God for that, he's done ruining the film. He came back with a hot dog, ate it loudly. I'll call you anytime you need me, kind of buddy. He's like, okay, cool, I love you. He's like, I love you too, friend. He's like, gay? Right, there's two instances in this film where they point out that homophobia is a really bad thing. Anyway, none of that is the film's fault. I just think I would have enjoyed this more if I hadn't sat through that bit in Cape Fear where Robert De Niro ruins it for the family. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I knew it from The Simpsons as well. The film, things I could improve with the actual film. So Mike introduces himself at the start of the film to the adult version of the Losers Club, and he's calling them all, and he says, it's Mike, and they're all like, who? Now, Mike probably didn't know when he phoned like the first one or two that there's something going on with their memory. They don't remember their childhood fighting it. But after like the third time he calls them, they're like, who? You think he would change it to like, hi, it's Mike from Derry. You don't know me, but, you know, we used to hang out as kids and you need to come home. And, you know, there you go. Eddie strangles it. Eddie later pulls a knife from his face that has been stabbed there and stabs Henry Barrows in the chest. Cool, good job. You've overcome your childhood fears, mate. And then he kind of freezes up and McAvoy shouts at him. And Richie has to give him a pep talk. So like, hey, you need to man up, fella, or we're all going to die. The weird thing is, though, Eddie doesn't need that pep talk. He was walking around like Rambo before. It was weird that they were all staying in the same hotel. So the only way I can kind of answer that in my own head is that none of their parents are either alive or living in the town. And Mike organised it so they were all staying in the same hotel for reasons. But then you never see any staff in the hotel. Bit odd. At the end of chapter 1 and at the beginning of this one there's a flashback. They all cut their hands and make a pact to say if it ever comes back, we'll come back and sort it out. Therefore setting up the sequel. But they don't really focus on the scars. So at the end of the film, Jessica Chastain is all like, hey look, my scar's gone. but like we never really saw the scars anyway. So it would make more sense if when they all meet up again at the Chinese restaurant, they're like, "Hey, look, I don't really remember you, but we've all got this matching scar. What does it mean?" Also, at that restaurant, they all drank and drove. That's not cool. Ben, he had a massive locker when he was a kid. It was big enough for him to fit in and kind of hide in and get back a bit. And also for it, the interdimensional clown monster, to sneak up behind him. Now, I realise it's a shapeshifter, but the locker was still big enough for him to move around in. But that was weird. How did James McAvoy fit his head into that drain? Like, he was practically halfway in the bloody thing, so that was weird. And also, in that scene, they're all looking for tokens from their past. It's a thing. The interdimensional being, hands McAvoy, presumably or at least a replica of, the paper boat that McAvoy, when he was a kid, so Bill, handed to his little brother Georgie. So has it been keeping that for this entire time? What was McAvoy's bike? I don't know if that was actually his childhood bike. Could have just been one that looked like it. Cool Stephen King cameo though. But anyway, so he gets his bike back. Let's just say it is his. And then he's like riding it around the town. And then just as when they were kids, he reaches his destination. He drops it on the floor. He wanders off. He does his thing. He comes back and he picks it up. And then he rides off again. Have some respect for the bike, dude. It cost you $300. Also, like, don't leave it in the road. That's a hazard to people. Also, that bike is gonna get stolen. They go upstairs into the library. It turns out Mike lives there. And Mike's all like, "Hey, do you want a drink of water?" If I was McAvoy, I'd be like, "Nah, you're alright, mate." But he does. He has the water. And turns out Mike has drugged him. One of the many, many uncool things Mike does in this film. He cooks nicely, survives though, so that's alright. I am disappointed that McAvoy didn't have a ponytail like the 90s version of... Stanley seems to remember enough when he gets the call from Mike to say, "You got to come back." He's like, "No, I'm taking myself out of the game. I'm not doing this." So why was that? Why did he remember more than the others? Weird. McAvoy ran into at least 3 walls in the Hall of Mirrors, and at some point you got to just assume he's doing it on purpose, otherwise he would have learned his lesson. They introduced McAvoy's wife for one scene and then never mentioned her again, even when he made out with Jessica Chastain. Shame on him. And the weird thing is, so McAvoy is a novelist, and they're making a film version of his story, but they seem to be filming it whilst he's still finishing the script because he needs to change the ending. And the studio's interfering, and weirdly enough, the studio, you saw the logo, was Warner Brothers, and like it's a Warner Brothers film, and like they're pretty infamous for interfering with films, just like Fox. So you'd think like they would be, "Oh man, the studio are really cool with your idea, but we showed some test audiences and they don't like the ending we've already filmed, so we need to do a rewrite." That makes more sense than them filming the film up until like the last scene and then not knowing what to do with it. So a bit where McAvoy does this like foppish Hugh Grant, "Oh, terribly sorry," in the middle of a road when he almost gets hit by a car. Like, weird. How did Richie know that Eddie had married a fat lady? Everyone's kind of annoyed when they realise that Mike hasn't told them the whole story about, we need to do the ritual of Chud or whatever it is to defeat Pennywise. And then he hasn't mentioned that the people who did it last time, they all died. Which, you know, you wouldn't really, would you? Or you'd like bring it up gently. Anyway, so the weird thing about that is, clearly the ritual didn't work before, because Pennywise is still around. So there's that. Also, McAvoy, when Mike drugged him, had a vision, and he says, "I saw it all," or something along those lines. But you didn't see the bit where all the people who did it before died, did you? So you didn't see it all. Weird. Rating out of 5 beers, 2. Good, everyone. Did some good acting. As I said, probably would have liked it more if I wasn't pissed off for the entire film because of that idiot next to me. I did like the bit where Pennywise tried to lure a little girl into the darkness under some bleachers, and she was all like, "No way, man, I'm not falling for this." But then she did fall for it because she's stupid. But, you know, birthmarks are tricky. I understand. I also liked how, at certain points in the film, Henry Bowers, who, as I mentioned, he survives getting stabbed. He survives a fall out of a first floor window. Doesn't survive getting whacked in the head with an axe. So I wasn't really sure what evil clown powers he had. But anyway. I did like it that at some points in the film, it was driving him around to do murders instead of just doing the murders itself. "Oh, I've dreamed of you for 27 years, doing his Winnie the Pooh voice as an evil clown. But, like, it is an interdimensional being that's been around for, like, thousands of years. 27 years for it couldn't be that long. Why are you so pissy about things? Anyway, I liked the film. It was good. Wish I'd seen it with an empty cinema.